If you found out your bank had the highest rate of impersonation scams in the country, would you switch to a different one? It's been revealed that some financial institutions are far more likely to be targeted by fraudsters, and consumer advocates say customers have a right to know which ones.
They're the vicious swindlers conning vulnerable Aussies by posing as their banks.
They are really sophisticated. Consumers receiving text messages in line with the legitimate bank text messages.
Bank impersonation scammers targeting more than 8,000 Australians this year alone, a 25% increase from the same period the year before.
This is a major scam affecting Australians at the moment. Impossible to detect.
But an investigation by the Sydney Morning Herald has revealed not all banks are equal. Data from the ACCC showing some financial institutions are getting hit much more often. In the first 9 months of this year, one bank saw nearly 3,000 impersonation scam reports. Two others lost more than $2 million each to fraudsters posing as their bankers, while others were completely untouched by the scams. The ACCC reportedly claims naming the banks could see them withhold the scam data altogether.
Whilst it might be interesting for people to know that one bank has received more reports than another, we certainly wouldn't want any customers of banks with lower numbers of reports to feel perhaps more confident than they should.
Consumers are paying 96% of scams losses in this country. There's an information asymmetry. Consumers should have access to all the information they can to protect themselves when the laws fail to do so.
The ACCC claims naming the banks could see them withhold the scam data altogether.
So at the moment, all of the data that's shared with the National Anti-Scam Centre by stakeholders like banks, that is done on a voluntary basis. It's up to these institutions as to whether or not they share data, and intelligence that comes to us is crucial.
Any form of transparency that we can have to help drive investment in preventing scams, that's what we need to be seeing in the middle of a scams crisis.
So, do Aussie customers have a right to know if their bank is a scam magnet?
Here to unpack all this is scam victim and advocate Harriet Spring. Harriet, thanks so much for your time. Should consumers have the right to know a bank's track record on this?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so little that distinguishes between the banks in Australia. Surely, as a consumer, I should have the right to know which banks are safer to put my money in.
Harriet, I can't believe this. The ACCC actually come out and say naming and shaming would lead to the banks no longer disclosing confidential information. That's rubbish, isn't it?
It's absolute rubbish. I mean, rather I would think that it would incentivise the banks to be able to loudly and proudly proclaim their how effective their anti-scam measures are. I can only think that perhaps they don't want to reveal how ineffective their lack of measures are.
Even more kind of galling is that reporting those breaches is currently voluntary. Do you think they should be made mandatory?
Definitely, the breach reporting should be mandatory. The reporting of suspicious matters is already mandatory. Banks have to report all suspicious matters within 24 hours. I guess what I am concerned about is, are the banks not doing that already? I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that, without any sunlight on an issue, corporations behave badly and, operate in the name of profit rather than what is right and legal.
We spoke about your case a while back. Now, if you learned that your bank was one of those with the biggest number of reported scams, here's the question for you. Would you actually switch?
Who wouldn't? I mean, 100%. If you found out that other banks were not giving you a secure service, and yet one bank was, wouldn't that be the absolute incentive for a bank in Australia to break ranks with the very strong ABA lobby and to say, we can offer you a better service? It's good business. It's good economics.
Harriet, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.